Mali is burning, the world is going hungry, and no one seems to care. Coming up, the most significant coordinated attack in Mali's recent history. A defense minister assassinated, cities seized, Russian missionaries caught completely off guard, what it means for West Africa right now. Then the UN Secretary General delivered a warning this week that should have stopped every newsroom cold. A global food emergency, empty shelves, empty plates, and a Security Council resolution to fix it blocked. To add to that, UAE just quit OPEC. Global military spending hits a record high. The world is rearming and running out of food at the same time. Stay with me as we uncover these stories and voices with Anissa Qalbi. A suicide bomb car drove into a home in the most fortified military town in Mali at 5 a.m. on Saturday morning last week. Inside that home, Mali's Defense Minister General Sadio Kamara, his second wife, two of his grandchildren, none of them survived. At the same moment, in 6 other cities across Mali, coordinated attacks were already underway. An airport, a military bases, government buildings. Bamako was on fire. And now this happened all at the same time as the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting, and almost no one in the Western media covered it. Now, before dawn, two groups that had never publicly coordinated before launched a simultaneous nationwide defense, GNIM, Jamama Nusrat al-Islam wal-Muslimin. This is the Sahel's most active Al-Qaeda affiliated, and the FLA, the Azawad Liberation Front, a Tuareg separatist fighters who have been battling for an independent northern state for years. For the first time, they attacked together. Targets hit simultaneously. Now, Mali's main military base at Kati, just outside Bamako, the Modib Keïta International Airport in Bamako, military installations in Gao, the central city of Sévère, and Mopti, where, according to sources cited, RFI, GNIM claimed to have taken complete control by evening. In Kati, described by Al Jazeera as one of the most secure locations in the country, a suicide bomber drove a car directly into the residence of the Defense Minister General Sadio Kamara. He was killed along with his second wife and 2 grandchildren. Mali's military rule General Assimi Gota, who also lives in Kati, was moved to an undisclosed secure location. He is reported to be alive. Now, this is a massive intelligence failure for Mali's Russian partners. According to UIF Lessig of the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, a Russian-backed African Corps mercenaries who replaced French forces in the UN peacekeeping mission after Mali's junta expelled them, had no warning of the attacks were coming. They were caught completely off guard. Lessig said directly, the attacks are a major blow to Russia, as the mercenaries had no intelligence about the attacks and were unable to protect major cities. Now, GNIM had been running a fuel blockade since 2025 of September, attacking tankers route from neighboring countries and cutting off fuels to supplies to Bamako for weeks. Last October, the capital could not buy fuel. A truce was signed in late March. GNIM, agreed to lift the blockade in exchange for releases of 100 prisoners. The Malayan government publicly denies releasing any prisoners, calling reports of deal completely unfounded. Days later, Saturday attacks. Now, a sitting defense minister has been assassinated in his home, grandchildren, and his wife. Cities, partially seized. The military ruler is hiding, and Russia, Mali's chosen security partner, unable to prevent any of it. This is what the state of collapse looks like in slow motion, and it's happening right now in West Africa. They said it was a failed coup. It has been handled. Now, while Mali was burning, the United Nations issued a warning that connects everything happening globally right now. Monday, the 28th of April, the United Nations General Secretary Antonio Guterres stood before the Security Council and delivered a warning he called urgent and immediate. A global food emergency is underway. His exact words were reported by Democracy Now! In Al Jazeera. Economic shocks have immediate and everyone is paying for the price. Acute vitality in energy and commodity markets, surging transportation and insurance costs. And you might ask, the driving costs, as we know, the war in Iran and the closure of the Strait Hormuz, 1/5 of the world oils and liquefied natural gas comes through that street. So it's been effectively closed since February. Fuel costs have been up, fertilizers costs are up, shipping costs are up, food prices are rising on every continent. And the Security Council, diplomats from dozens of countries demanded resolution calling for the street to be reopened. It was blocked by China and Russia. So two countries most strategically positioned to benefit from continued Western energy disruption vetoed the resolution and could have eased the global food emergency. And then on Tuesday the 29th, the UAE announced that it's switching from OPEC entirely. The United Arab Emirates, one of the cartel's most significant members, is done. The UAE's energy minister told CNN directly the Iran war and the Strait Hamas closure made this the right moment to leave. Without OPEC quotas restricting them, the UAE could pump up to 1 million additional barrels per day. Long-term analysis say if the UAE leaves, others could follow. And if OPEC fractures, global oil prices become dramatically more volatile, not just high, unpredictable. Nigeria is already feeling it. AllAfrica reported this week that Nigeria is experiencing a deepening jet fuel shortages. Flights across the country's major airports are being delayed and rescheduled. In a country of 220 million people, the Iran war is grounding domestic flights. Now, the Malayan communities online on X and other comps are saying, where's the international response? When similar coordinated attacks happen in Europe, NATO convenes. When attacks happen in the Middle East, the Security Council meets. Mali's defense minister was assassinated in his home alongside his grandchildren and his wife. And the lead story in most Western room was the day the shooting was the White House press conference dinner in Washington, D.C. People are naming it directly, not subtly, loudly. And in the global south broadly, the food emergency conversation is landing differently than it has in wealthy nations. UN figures show that the countries most exposed to the Strait Hormuz closure are not United States or Europe. There are countries in South Asia, East Africa, and the Sahel that import nearly all of their fuel and fertilizers through those supply chains. So countries already facing food insecurities before this war began, countries where the margin between hunger and famine is measured in weeks, not months. Now, all of it connected. The Malayan government expelled France, expelled the UN, brought in Russian mercenaries. Those mercenaries failed to protect the capital, and the jihadist group are control of the fuel routes in West Africa just demonstrated it can't coordinate a nationwide offensive without a warning. Share this episode, drop a comment, tell me what you knew about Mali before today. Subscribe if you haven't. We cover every continent, every story, every week, the best that we can. Until next time, I leave you all in the care of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Fi amanillah.